Hello and welcome to Big Weekend here on the Football365 show, brought to you by Paddy Power. I'm your host Mark Smith. I'm here as ever with Sarah Winterburn. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to like and subscribe and press the notification bell so you never, ever, ever miss a show going forward ever again. There's loads to talk about this week. I want to talk about United against City. Can United bounce back from their Champions League heartbreak? Was it heartbreak or was it just... I don't know what it was. Was it just being not very good? Also want to talk about Everton, Chelsea and Aubameyang surely going to score his first goal of the season. First goal for a while, at least. Yeah, that's all the admin done. This is Big Weekend brought to you by Paddy Power. Right, Sarah, let's start with the biggest game of the weekend. It is United versus City. United probably a bit down after their performance midweek. City starting to put a few results together.
So I mean, Man United will win, won't they? I mean, this is how this stuff goes at the moment. This is Man United in 2020, just as they were in 2019, 2018. Just doing enough, constantly just doing enough. Having a massive blow and then coming back and pulling something out of the bag. Sometimes it happens. Quite often, it happens within one game, doesn't it? Like first half bad, second half not so bad.
Well, West Ham, it was a game of 3/3 where they were awful for the first two of them and then outstanding for the final one.
Yeah, they're pushing it and Tuesday night was 3/4. Terrible for 3/4. Turned it on for a quarter.
Yeah.
As long as those fractions keep changing, this could be disastrous. But this is Man United. People talk about Man United coming back to the way Man United were. I'm afraid that's a long time ago now. This is the new Man United. This is what they've settled for. The minute that they appoint and then back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who's massively underqualified for the job, this is what they're setting themselves up for. They're setting themselves up for 2 steps forward, 1 step falling over the shoelaces.
But it's worth mentioning here, though, Sarah. It's worth mentioning here that actually, since they signed Bruno, they have got the most points in the Premier League, I think, or maybe they're just behind Liverpool now. But they're pretty consistent, really. It's just the method they've gone about it seems completely random.
Well, it seems very fragile, doesn't it? That you can't put, as we found out against RB Leipzig in midweek, you can't give 2-goal leads away to good teams. They go behind against Man City on Saturday. I don't think that's going to work, is it? They're going to have to play a different game. Now, can they play a different game? I'm not sure.
Yeah, and at home as well. Not been very good at all at home. So we'll see what happens there. I'm going to go for Raheem Sterling to score any time in that game. I think City will win that game, and I think Sterling will score any time. So as part of my four-way accumulator from Paddy Power, Sterling any time. But to be honest, you're right. United could go and win this game 3-0, or they could lose it 5-0. Let's move on, because this is a huge weekend, I think, now for Mikel Arteta. He's not been at the club that long, but it is starting to feel like we could be on the downward slope of his career already at Arsenal. Am I overreacting there?
No, I think the Tottenham result was forgivable. I think he's up against Jose Mourinho, but Jose Mourinho did him big style, absolutely. Yeah. Everyone knew what Mourinho was going to do in that game, and it was like Arteta walked into the trap, even though it was clearly labelled big trap. This weekend is Burnley, and I seriously think if they lose to Burnley, I think it turns. I think there's a very real chance that he loses his job after that, because Burnley are a very poor side. If Arsenal cannot, one thing losing to a Tottenham side that are on a massive roll under a manager who knows how to win those games, but if you start losing to Burnley, I mean, there's just nothing in that Arsenal side at the moment that makes you think, oh, if this clicks or if that clicks, this is going to work. They just look, for some reason, it just looks like it's broken. It seems bizarre of a team that won the FA Cup, first by beating Man City and then by beating Chelsea in that final, and won both those games quite convincingly, and looked like, at the start of the season, I thought that we were looking back at them coming back to a top 4 challenge. I really did. Because there was so much promise shown at the end of last season, especially in the FA Cup against those 2 big sides. But and in theory they've strengthened since then, and definitely Gabriel's their better centre half. Thomas Partey is probably their best centre midfielder. They, even improving those components seems to have taken them backwards, which by now you're kind of thinking is a psychological thing rather than a technical problem. Yeah. Maybe they just need one big win and it'll break the dam. I don't know, but I think he's in big trouble if he loses to Burnley.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's not going to happen against Burnley at home, when is it going to happen? This isn't part of my accumulator, but every week I say this. Aubameyang, at some point he's going to get off the mark and start scoring freely, isn't he? And this could be the one. Do not bet on it, though. I'm telling you now, because it will backfire. But, Burnley have got some good ability going forward as well, so there's always a chance for an upset here. Anyway, let's move on. Wolves against Villa. This is, I guess this is a derby, isn't it? Is it a West Midlands derby?
Yeah, I think it counts as a West Midlands derby. I think, obviously, Aston Villa probably think they've got bigger fish to fry elsewhere, but for Wolves, this is probably the big one.
Yeah.
It's almost you can't remember what Aston Villa were like. We've lost them for a week, haven't we, to the COVID, and before that there was an international break. It seems like a long time since we saw Aston Villa, I must say. But they did lose their last two, so there's a little bit of a sense of a sort of a righting of the table with Aston Villa. They slip down into the middle of the table, and that's probably where they belong. Wolves become incredibly dull to watch. They're not, there's nothing really interesting about Wolves anymore. I mean, they were exciting for the first couple of seasons. Now it seems to have got a bit dull. I think
it's been a dull for a little while now, Sarah, I've got to say. I don't think it's a recent thing.
I think we were interested in the formation when, and that was at a time when not a lot of teams were playing five at the back. Now, Tom Dick and his wife play five at the back. So, we're used to seeing that now, whereas there was a little bit of a sexiness about it when they came up. And obviously without Raul Jimenez, the little, it doesn't always play Adama Traore. It doesn't always sort of get the juices flowing. But it'd be really interesting to see if Aston Villa sort of can re-find some form. And Ollie Watkins seems to have lost his touch. He's had a couple of poorer games. So, this is kind of game where we're going to discover which one of those teams has ambitions to sort of pull themselves out of that mid-table, because they could both quite easily get caught in there.
Yeah, they could easily be, either one of them, a dark horse for the season. I feel like Wolves have got some exciting players still. No doubt Traore, I think Podence looks like a really good player. And obviously Jimenez, but they don't play with a system that really allows them to do what they want. Whereas Villa have got some outstanding individuals, and they absolutely plug into that. They play through Grealish, even from the left wing, and it's so much fun to watch a team do that in modern Premier League football. I think it should be a good game. I'm going to go. Villa have had the week off with COVID. I think they'll be fresher. I think they'll be up for it. I'm going to go for a Villa away win as part of my accumulator. Right, let's move on. Everton, Chelsea. Chelsea found the right balance. I like what I'm seeing from Chelsea more and more each week.
Yeah, you'd have to have them down as genuine title contenders now. We talked at the start of the season as to what Frank Lampard needs to achieve this season after a summer of spending, and they did spend an awful lot of money. And you look at that and think, what does he need to achieve? Well, he needs to achieve exactly what he's doing now, which is a title challenge. No one's saying he has to win it, but he needs to be within. I think he's got to end this season within 10, 12 points of the champions, and probably closer. If you look at how Liverpool have started the season, I still expect Liverpool to win the title. I think Chelsea should expect to be near them. Everton's a test though, but Everton defensively are going to play straight into Chelsea's hands. They're just not good enough at the back. For all the excitement, we talk about Richarlison, about James, about Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but they are sort of playing with their hands tied behind their backs at the moment, because they're
fun to watch, though, isn't it? As a result,
Everton have become a really good side to watch after a couple of years when they were a few years when they were a little bit on the dull side, I think, and had lost a bit of the pizzazz. They do have the pizzazz back, but I think they probably, and certainly Carlo Ancelotti would quite like them to be quite dull again, I think, and sort of a couple of 1-0 wins would probably suit him quite well, because there's just a little bit of feeling of kamikaze about Everton, and that won't suit Ancelotti, and it certainly doesn't point towards a sort of top 6, top 7 finish that was promised in October.
No, I think Everton are a couple of signings away still, but it's definitely an improvement. They're in a better position than they were when he took over. I think they're going in the right direction, even if the last few games haven't been great. Chelsea, and I think it's worth saying this about Lampard, no one really expected him to win the league, like you say, this season. But the way he's knitted together half a brand new team so quickly, I think is to be admired. I think he's done well there, because that is a hard thing to do.
No, it's been impressive, and I've not always been kind to Frank Lampard, and sort of maybe he's been unfairly judged because he hasn't come from a great, he doesn't have a lot of managerial experience. He clearly got the Chelsea job by his own admission because of his status as a player.
Yes.
But that can be true at the same time as he could actually be quite good at this. It might be that he was lucky to get the job, but then it won't be so lucky if he wins the title or comes close this season. That'll be because he's actually might be quite good at this.
Yeah. Who knew? I'm going to go for Timo Werner to score any time there. Best miss of the season by miles last time round. I think we'll put it in the net this time. Right, moving on. Crystal Palace against Jose Spurs, and what a Spurs side this is.
Indeed, what a Spurs side. They were brilliant against Arsenal. Absolutely brilliant. Played it to an absolute T. As we said before, I said last week, when we were previewing that game, this squad is built for Jose Mourinho. He is like a pig in muck at the moment. He's got 2 or 3 brilliant players, specifically 2 in Kane and Son, and then obviously some real classic, classy workers in midfield. Højbjerg, can't say his name. Højbjerg. He's been probably one of the signings of the season. Gives them that stability and allows Son and Kane just to go off and do their thing. Eric Dyer's been phenomenal. Take back everything I've said about him. All he needed was a really low block, and for him not to be asked to do anything other than head the ball, and he's an absolute world beater. But this does look like a good Tottenham side, and you would fancy them to sort of, if they can stay fit in the main, keep close to the top of that table, because Mourinho's used to this. This is not crazy ground for him, and it's absolutely made for him. This situation, Spurs fans desperate to win something, willing to watch football that may not be fantastically entertaining all the time in order to get themselves over that line. And players who are desperate to win something. Players like Kane and Son, having empty medal cabinets is ridiculous. They're too good for that, and Mourinho will tap into that massively.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Palace quickly, though, because a great win away at West Brom. Yes, okay, of course, it was skewed by the sending off. But they look like a fun team to watch again. And Zaha,
and what you see
Zaha's playing well. Eze looks great.
How great they are when they open their legs. What you want to see that is in that more often. And it shouldn't hopefully take a red card to do that. Palace should be beating West Brom. I'm not saying they should be beating West Brom 5-0 or 5-1. But they should be winning that game anyway. And it'd be great if Roy would allow Zaha and Eze and Benteke. I love Benteke. I think when he's playing well, he's a phenomenal player. But if he allows them to play like that, then this could be...
Wow, big shout.
Palace could be more fun, couldn't they? Hodgson sometimes takes the fun out of it in order to be safe and to be secure.
They've got all the tools there to be one of the most exciting teams.
They could be. If he allowed it and sort of let them off the reins a little bit, they could be a fun team to watch. And now they've sort of pulled themselves clear of any... I can't see them getting involved remotely in the relegation battle. Why not have some fun? We haven't had a great deal this year.
Absolutely. I want to finish, Sarah, one more topic. Paul Pogba, very quickly. Do you want to talk about him? Is it worth talking about him? Has everything that needs to be said been said already?
It's been said 100 times over.
Okay, just quick answer then. What do you do then if you're United? Do you just try and cut your losses, get rid of him in January? I mean, I don't really know what the protocol is here.
I think right now you have to cut your losses. I think it's a distraction, isn't it? If he doesn't want to be there, and he's certainly not said that his agent got it wrong, in which case you have to believe that the agent was talking for him, and certainly he's said it often enough. We know he wants to go to Real Madrid or he wants to go back to Juve. It's whether United will swallow their pride and let him go on loan or let him go for cheap. I mean, but they definitely should.
One of the most talented players that currently plays football, but mentally can't do it often enough. So cut your losses. He doesn't want to be there. Let him go.
Ta-ra.
Right, that's all we've got time for this week. Thank you, Sarah, for joining me. Thank you guys at home for watching. This has been Big Weekend, brought to you by Paddy Power. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can email us. It's the editor at football365.com. Until next week, goodbye.
Bye-bye.